That took a while, didn't it? Can you hear me, everyone? Marcin?
Yes, I can hear you, Jan.
You can. Very good. Not too bad. I'm sorry. Just still getting the hang of this bleeding thing, but at last we're here. I'm not sure if Jimmy is in yet. Let's have a look. But good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to get started in 1 second. Sorry for the delay today. Nevertheless, you have reached Startup Growth Q&A. It's our 130th session. We've been doing these for, oh boy, almost 4 years now. And the idea is quite simple. We're here to help startups with whatever questions you may have in terms of your journey to grow your business from, let's say, 0 to hero. You see, unfortunately, over 90% of startups fail. And the top 3 reasons for that are 1, market fit, 2, running out of money, and 3, not having the right people. But when it comes to really the essence of it all, there's one thing that really matters, and that is your ability to sell whatever service or products that you have with that business. Jimmy, would you mind closing your camera, and because it's audio only, and if you wouldn't mind also what's the words, muting as well, that would be great. Can you hear me, Jimmy? You've muted. That's brilliant. And by the way, it's audio only, Jimmy. I don't know if you can hear me. See, we got Jimmy. Let's see if there's a way for me to do the video. Where is it? Jimmy, can you hear me?
Hello.
You can. Hi. We're keeping this audio only, Jimmy. If you've got a way to close the camera, that would be brilliant. Let me see. Is there a way you can do that? Jimmy, yes, I can hear you, but I'm asking you to close the camera because this we're keeping it audio only. So no video. You still got your video on. And I'm sorry to the audience. These are just some tech challenges, and we'll sort it out in a second. Yes, we can hear you. Jimmy, please close camera. There you go. Check the text. Right. Can you hear us now, Jimmy? Now you're frozen. All right. Maybe we should just.
I've got you. Going. I've got you.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear us, Jimmy?
Yes, I can. Sorry, my computer's been a bit funny, but yes, I'm here. Hello, everybody.
No, that's okay. Hi. For some reason, your screen is frozen, but if you don't mind closing your camera, that would be great. And let's keep it audio only, and then we'll get cracking. Good man. Thank you very much. Right. So again, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Startup Growth Q&A. It's our 130th session. We've been doing these for almost 4 years, and we've had over 270,000 people that have tuned in. We're now doing this via Microsoft Teams. So we need all the help we can get in terms of taking this to the next stage, really. The idea, it's simple. If you find any value in this, please do share it with your other social media. For those of you that are tuning in via other platforms, we are unable to monitor your questions there. So please be aware that, unfortunately, if you want to ask us questions, you can't do it from whether you're listening to us via YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. You would need to join us live here on Teams. And the idea is that there should be a link on all of those streams that will take you to our Teams call. We're going to be here until 1 o'clock, so now 52 minutes left. And if you are here on Teams, then please do type your question in the chat, and then I will give you the mic so that you can ask the panel. As far as today's questions are concerned, as I said at the beginning, it's all about growth. So it could be anything from user, client, vendor, partner acquisition, growth hacks, sales, marketing, advertising, branding, go-to-market, and all that jazz. There are no wrong or right questions, and there's no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. Again, 52 minutes will go quicker than you think, so please don't leave it for last second to ask questions. Now, if your questions today are on other matters, please save them for the other rooms we run. So on Mondays, it's talent, Tuesdays, product and tech, Wednesdays, as you can see, it's growth, Thursdays, it's fundraising, second Friday of each month, it's a startup, UK startup law, so a legal Q&A, and the third Friday of each month, there's a Q&A on finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP to any of them via our website, startup-to-scaleup.club, and that way you can basically join us, whichever Q&A you prefer. When you go to our site, probably a good thing to do is to join our WhatsApp group. That way you will get alerts for all future conversations. And the way to do that is simply by clicking on the WhatsApp icon, either at the top of your screen or at the bottom of your screen. I guess we'll now do some quick introductions, and then I will ask Jimmy and Martin about their main do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage growth, and then we'll open it for questions. So without further ado, Martin, get ready for your presentation, and Jimmy as well, please. And again, Jimmy, if you can turn off your camera, that would be great. So I'll start with the presentations. My name is Anton Call. I'm an Albanian in London, working with startups normally right after they get investment. I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I also do some growth advisory work with a few startups and accelerators, etc. And lately I've been helping some angels and family offices with their due diligence and assessment. Take it away, please, Martin.
Thank you, Anton, and welcome everybody. 𝗦𝘁 𝗨𝗪𝗪 here. I'm the CEO and founder of 𝗦𝘁. We are a technology business where we build automation platforms, custom process automations, or complex growth platforms as well. Over 20 years of experience in that area with running 𝗦𝘁 for over 4 years, where we helped over 100 clients with building their growth execution engines. That's from me. Jamie, over to you.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm 𝗦𝘁 𝗨𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗛. So I am. My camera is turned off, by the way, Anton. I don't know what you're seeing, but it's off on my side. So I'll leave and join again in a second.
No, now it is. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened, buddy. Sorry.
Okay. I have a background in technology, so I used to be the business strategy manager and head of impact at Microsoft. So I've been selling technology products into different markets for many years. I then spent 2 years in venture capital, in investing in early stage technology businesses. And then most recently have started my own business called Impact Advantage, where we have an economic platform that measures the impact that companies and charities and other organizations have on the world, and we turn it into a monetary value. So I've got experience building tech company as well. I'm also currently writing a book on how to build and start your own business, ideally without leaving your job as well. So pleased to be here.
That's pretty cool. Thank you very much to both of you. Jimmy, when's that book coming out?
Should be in about 3 or 4 months. So I'll put the link in the chat so people can see, can sign up for updates if they're interested. But yeah, hopefully 3 months if I can actually finish writing it all.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much for doing that. Right here, thank you very much to all of you now. Let me see. So I can see there's quite a few in the other streams. So LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Please be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions live there. So if you do want to ask us anything, you would have to join us here on Microsoft Teams. And I believe on all of those streams, there should be a link to this conversation. If not, just hop over to StartUp2ScaleUp.club and look for today's session, which is Startup Growth Q&A 130. You click join there. It's a quick registration and it'll bring you straight here onto our chat on Microsoft Teams. It's a live audio conversation. And we're here to help you with whatever questions you may have on growing your business to the next stage. Now, while some people perhaps get their sort of carriage on to ask questions, and by the way, the best way to do that is to put your question in the chat room, and then I will unmute your mic so that you can ask the panelists. But until then, perhaps the chaps on the panel would like to give us your biggest do's and don'ts, and don't worry about feeling like you may be repeating yourself, or sort of taking your time. If you can think of 3 each, good. If not, don't worry about it. But what are your biggest do's when it comes to early stage growth? Let's start with Jimmy this time, and then Martin.
So for me, the most important thing is short-term revenue. So a lot of people focus purely on raising capital. A lot of people will focus on building strategic partnerships and big things that will, make a business take a business from good to great in a later stage. But without immediate short-term revenue, your business won't survive. But secondly, you won't be appealing enough to investors. And thirdly, you won't be appealing enough to land big partnerships with big players as well. So revenue, showing traction, showing customer demand is always number one for me. The second is how you think about product market fit. So a lot of people get product market fit wrong. What they do is they sell something to 2 or 3 customers and they assume they've got product market fit. Product market fit comes when you're able to sell the same thing repeatedly to multiple customers in the market. That's where you're able to scale a business. It's where you're able to maximize margins as well that you have. And so there's some good techniques for doing that. I particularly like one around using case studies, which we can always go into if we've got time. But those would be the 2 biggest things for me that people need to focus on.
Right. Thanks, Jimmy, and it's Marcin here. So on my end, I would say that to add to what Jimmy said was I think it's well, first I agree, of course, with what you said, and I think cash flow is very, very important for every business. But I think it's also important from a growth perspective to apply a right strategy for the right stage of your business. And I haven't seen a lot of startups doing that, but I really say that everybody starts with some sort of idea, and I think from idea you want to get to what we call profit corn as quick as you can. And profit corn means basically profitable business idea. And for a small bootstrapped businesses, it's as little as having 50 to 100K ARR, and what it really means very often it translates into like having just a handful of clients. So obviously you have a different plans when you go to kind of what we call minicorns, unicorns, etc. But for all that stage of the business that you're at, and you're going into that next stage of business, you should apply various different strategies. I definitely agree with what Jimmy said, that a product market fit is a number one mistake. I think that a lot of businesses do, and that's what we see. And product market fit is not just again just for a specific a growth stage, but it's also every time you open a new market, you do you release new product, you improve your product, and you want to change the way you sell it. If you go to a next phase of your growth, you need to do product market fit. So for us, product market fit is really a kind of a continuous learning from the market about what market says to in terms of your value proposition. So that's an exercise that I believe every business founder and business leader that needs to have in mind and exercise all the time. Last but not least, I would say one very important part is related to the mindset of people that are building businesses. I think you need to be ready for a growth, which very often means something different to what you were doing, and the jobs where you were working for a large organizations. Going into startup world, or growing your own business, even if it's not a startup anymore, requires you to to have a high energy, really all the time. You have to stay agile. You need to be able to listen what your clients say, and be able to change very, very quickly, and kind of drive that change across organizations. It really requires a growth focused mindset. So yeah, those are I would say the 3 points I would say from my end. And happy to share some links to product market fit slides, for example, from the process perspective, if anybody's interested.
Yeah, actually, that would be great if you got mine, Martin. On LinkedIn, I think you've either shared it or liked the share that I did earlier for people to join us live. So there's a live session being live streamed now, where I've tagged both you and Jimmy. So if you mention any tool that is useful, or any articles that you think might be useful, please post them in the comments under that live stream. because I think that would be easier for everyone to get to. And whilst you're doing that, we've received quite a few questions that people send in to us, and I know there are various reasons why people would do that, but personally, I keep saying this, I think you are better off joining us live rather than send questions that you can either listen to the recordings, or perhaps you're listening via one of the live streams. Nevertheless, I'll read the next one. And by the way, Martin and Jimmy, you can read that in the chat as well. I've copied and pasted it there. So this is from a NedTech in Birmingham. They're pre-seed. They're a gamified learning platform for primary school children, focusing on STEM subjects. Then she goes on to say, our challenge is attracting attention from teachers and school administrators who control purchasing decisions. We've created a gamified STEM learning platform for primary school students, but teachers are often busy and resistant to new tools. What strategies can we use to effectively demonstrate the educational value and engagement potential of our platform? Should we offer free trials or run workshops to allow teachers to experience the platform? An interesting one. How about this? We go to Jimmy first, and then we go on to Martin. So I guess there's a couple of questions I'd say here. Strategies to kind of demonstrate value and potential. And then the second part is, do we use free trials or some kind of workshops? Basically, how do we get the school staff, although it's not really teachers that have the power to purchase, although they may have power to suggest. So this also suggests to me that they don't really know the primary school system that well. But nevertheless, let's start with Jimmy, and then we'll go on to Martin.
Yeah, sure. So I think the education space is always a tricky one to sell into because it's very fragmented. So I think the buyer definitely isn't your teachers or your administrators. I think yes, you definitely want those guys to be advocates of what you're doing. So I would be thinking about, where are those people at the moment? So there's a lot of platforms out there that teachers use to go and share resources and things like that. Can you advertise on that? Can you offer something through those so you can get some interest in that space, so that you've got the teachers asking for your product? The way a lot of this stuff is brought in primary schools is that it's brought at a higher level, either at a county level, who issue out to schools. So you need to get in at a much higher level of who's governing those schools, because that's where a lot of stuff is purchased for multiple schools. That's where you really want to be having those conversations, because they have got the time to look at these sorts of things. The other thing I would think about is start with private schools as well. So it's a lot easier to have a conversation with private schools. They have more purchasing control as well, and those sorts of things. So I don't know that offering free trials, I mean that's fine, but offering a free trial isn't going to get you in front of people you can't get into at the moment. So I think it's thinking about, how do you make some noise, how do you get in front of your audience, so where are they already, but where can you get some initial traction? Because the other thing that will make schools listen more is when you've got good use cases from a successful client. So I think try and find those initial anchor clients, and I would certainly be looking at private schools as a starter for that. The last thing I would probably think about is charities as well. So there are a whole bunch of charities out there that work in getting STEM educational skilling into schools and into teachers' curriculums as well. So looking at who are the charity partners that you could be working with as well, who potentially might be a customer, or you might be able to get you into certain areas to expand the impact that they deliver. So that's how I'd think about it.
Thank you, Jimmy. Yes, Mark.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Anton. And thanks for that question. It's a great question. And both Jimmy and I mentioned before that product market fit is very important a part, and this is exactly I think issue that you're facing. So I think first you need to understand that there's no easy and quick fixes for your product market fit. Again, it's a process. It's a way for you to accept how you can learn from the market. But obviously, we would, the way I would advise, a few things there is, look, sounds like you don't know what is the value perceived from your potential clients. So again, it's part of product market fit. You should always create a value that will be recognized within your target audience. Consider creating a body that's called a customer advisory board. So very often founders think that they've built this great platform and it solves all the problems, but then when they go to market, the clients see it actually not exactly in the same way. So the best way to change the course of your direction is talk to those potential clients or existing clients, create some sort of advisory board with them, and actually discuss your platform and ask them for a honest opinion. I think the advantage of advisory board is that you're not really losing any opportunities, and you're asked for honest feedback from them, and that's the way for you to kind of take that feedback and incorporate into your value proposition. Looking at this question, I also think that it might be, but it might not be, but you might actually going after a wrong target audience, because you mentioned teachers here, and kind of it's in an early education stage, and as far as I know, teachers have they could be your influencers in the sales process, but they are definitely not the decision makers. Teachers they can give feedback about certain different tools, what's good, what they like, etc., but they don't have authority to purchase. So again, you probably need to do product market fit exercise to actually go and find who are the right people you should be talking to in terms of decision-making process, where to sell it, etc. Because it's education, purchases in education systems are seasonal. So there is a certain period of time where they buy those new platforms and tools, and then for most of the year, actually they don't. And maybe that's the time for you to do a bit of marketing and do some pre-sales, but you need to be ready for a long sales cycle. And and last but not least, think about how you actually want to sell to that audience, because I actually agree that you probably should offer a freemium, not to sell the product, but to make everybody comfortable with it. But it has to be supported by a number of workshops. The education industry does a lot of conferences. So again, you probably need to look at marketing budget and take part in those conferences. Definitely consider a reseller network that is already selling to your target audience. So we actually have one of our clients is selling to schools, and they actually sell like a number of propositions to schools. So although there's only part of they have only a few services that are their own services, but they also collaborate with others to create a stronger and better value proposition and bigger bundles that they can actually go and offer to schools, because they have access to those schools already. So yeah, that's I think what I would kind of say from my end. Again, think about the value, do product market fit, get ready for a long sales cycle, and consider what would be your channel to sell the platform.
Brilliant. Thank you very much to both of you. That is some pure gold. Rightio, I guess a quick reset of the conversation and then we'll get going. This is Startup Growth Q&A. It's our 130th session. We ran a few other sessions, but today we're here to help you grow your business from zero to hero. Whether you've got questions on user, client, vendor, partner acquisition, growth hacks, sales, marketing, advertising, branding, or perhaps go-to-market strategies and partnerships, all you have to do is join us live here on Microsoft Teams and type your question in the chat, and then I'll unmute you and give you the floor to ask the panel. For those of you that are tuning in via YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions there. So you would need to join us live here on Microsoft Teams. There should be a link on all of those streams for you to do that. But if for any reason you can't, then best thing to do is go onto our website, startup-to-scaleup.club, find today's session, which is Startup Growth Q&A 130, click join, quick registration, and you'll be on Microsoft Teams with us. If, however, your questions today are not on growth, then please save them for the other Q&As we run. So at the moment, we run a session on Mondays. That is on talent. Tuesdays, it's on product and tech. Wednesdays, it's on growth. Thursdays, it's on fundraising, and also on 2 Fridays per month. That means what Friday? Second Friday of each month, we run a session on legal stuff, and the third Friday of each month, we run a session on finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP to them on our site or via our site, startup-to-scaleup.club. And actually, if and when you visit our site, the best thing to do is to actually join our WhatsApp group, where you'll be able to get alerts to all future Q&As we run. Just in case, I am going to post that link in the chat room now anyway, for those of you that may not be part of the WhatsApp group. But until we wait for somebody to have the courage to ask us questions, we'll go to some other questions that were sent in. And this is from a startup in Leeds. We're a fintech startup in Leeds at pre-series A. That could mean anything, but okay, providing expense management software for the gig economy. Whilst our growth in Yorkshire has been steady, expanding into London and other areas has proven difficult due to fragmented nature of the gig economy and different needs of urban workers. How can we create a segmented expansion strategy that includes collaborations with local courier and rideshare firms, tailored features for London's high-cost environment, and hyper-local marketing campaigns to establish relevance in the capital and other similar metropolises? Okay. Martin, do you want to start first with this and then we go to Jimmy? So we'll switch it a little bit.
Sure, I'm happy to take that one. And thank you for sharing the question and the situation you're in. Well, first, congratulations on having a steady growth in around Leeds in Yorkshire. This is great because this is really something that you can use as a foundation for your expansion. And I don't want to sound boring, but I want to repeat what I said before: is when you're going to a new market, what you need is a product market fit, because different markets will require slightly redefined value proposition, maybe slightly different messaging to the market about your existing value proposition. Maybe you have to retarget the people and decision makers that you're going after. So usually what you would end up with is what we call a micro-targeted audience approach. So what we see at the moment is when companies are selling to new markets, they don't just sell like with one ICP, so one ideal customer profile and one messaging, etc. They usually end up with half a dozen or a dozen of what we call micro-targeted audiences. So within your TAM, target audience market, you will actually segment it into various different ICPs, and then for those various different ICPs, you will prepare what is sort of a value that you want to expose, like what do they care about, and then come up with the messaging for that specific target audiences. That's how I would do it. The great thing is that you have existing case studies, and if you have existing case studies from leads, that's the most powerful probably marketing collateral that you can use, because that builds a lot of trust, and that proves that you have done it with others already. So helps your new clients with minimizing the risk. So within your messaging to the new markets, again, I would run just product market fit program, and include the messaging that definitely includes sharing case studies, and then again you go to those new markets. You not necessarily sell at the beginning. I think at the beginning you are having just a conversation, and you ask for an honest feedback, and once you get that honest feedback, then you can like reuse it and go more into kind of a sales motion. That's I think what I would share. Well, looking at expanding to various different micro target audiences, sometimes require marketing budgets as well. So your pre-seed A, probably as a founders, you need to think about like how you're going to get more capital as well, if to expand, because it is a quite expensive exercise as well. But yeah, you've got a great foundation, and it's just that mentality that you need to have to remember each time you go to new market. It's like you would almost setting up a new business, because you will be talking to different people, and probably that means you actually have to change how you talk about your value proposition and what is your messaging to them, because they will see a different value in what you're offering. So yeah, that's what I would like to share, and I guess it's over to you, Jimmy.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think you've nailed it there, but I think the one thing I would add is that you've obviously had some success in deploying it in the areas that you're currently operating. So what's worked well, and then if I'm presuming you've tried to scale it into other geographies and it's not worked. So who can you talk to in those areas to understand where you're falling short? Because there's one of two things could be happening. So either your product and service isn't relevant to that market, or you need to tweak the product and service to that market, or the messaging is just not landing right, and you're not getting the adoption. So is it one of those things? Is it both of those things? But for me, it would just be talking to people as much as possible to understand what's missing, and then trying to rectify that, and just iterating different quick win approaches through different marketing techniques to try to get that right. And even if you find out that the proposition needs to be slightly different, I wouldn't even change the proposition initially. I would change the marketing messaging around that to check that gets traction first, and then I would change the proposition to deliver against that. So I think for me, it's just always market customer feedback. It's going to tell you and help you understand why it's not landing.
Well, thank you very much for that, fellas. Really appreciate it. We've now got 20 minutes to go. This is Startup Growth Q&A. If you're tuning in, for those of you that are tuning in via YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions there. So if you do want to ask us anything, you would need to join us here live and interactively on Microsoft Teams. It's live audio, and the way it works, for those of you that are here on Microsoft Teams, if you've got any questions, you put it in the chat section, and as soon as you do, then I will unmute you and give you the floor, basically. The idea is quite simple. Your questions today could be on anything to do with growing your business, whether that's user, client, vendor, partner acquisition, perhaps sales, marketing, branding, advertising, growth hacks, go-to-market, and anything within that sphere, really. All you have to do is type that question in the chat, and then we'll give you the go-ahead. Now, if you've got questions on other matters, then please save them for the other Q&As we run. On Mondays, it's talent. On Tuesdays, it's product and tech. On Wednesdays, it's growth. On Thursdays, fundraising. Second Friday of each month, legal. And third Friday of each month, finances. And they're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. And you can RSVP to any of them via our site, StartUp to ScaleUp.club. And when you go there, just find the session you want and RSVP to it. And you can also join our WhatsApp group where you'll get alerts for all future conversations. Now, I'll put another question in the chat for Jimmy and Martin. I'll read it out loud for those of you that are tuning in via our live streams. And perhaps if Jimmy can go first on this, and then Martin. But so this is from a couple who are co-founders, and the ladies sent the message saying, we're a pet care subscription box in Nottingham preparing for Series A. Users love the product but rarely discuss it publicly. Our pet care subscription box is adored by users, but they don't actively recommend it. How can we turn satisfied customers into ambassadors through initiatives like shareable pet milestones, user-submitted Pet of the Month contests, or referral programs where users earn exclusive items for each new subscriber they bring in? I was trying to find you online, and to be honest with you, it's not very easy. Neither could I find you on LinkedIn. So all I got is your profile on Instagram that you sent the message. But it would have been nicer if you were here live and we kind of got an understanding of where you are. Nevertheless, maybe we can start with Jimmy and then Martin on this. How would you go about getting those current clients to become ambassadors, Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the question itself, you've got lots of good suggestions of things you could do. I think the things you need to take into account, if you've got clients who are loving the system, then they are your best form of growth. And so what you really want to do is follow the methodologies that other companies have used before, like meal boxes, where if they recommend it to someone else and that someone else signs up, then perhaps they get I don't know, £10 off the next box, or 1 month free, or whatever it might be. So you've got to answer the what's in it for me question. People might love your service, but people generally aren't wandering around posting about all of the things they love in their life or all of the services. It just doesn't really work like that. I don't do that, that's for sure. So you've got to give somebody some sort of incentive. So I think, money off something for a referral, I always think those things work very well. There are so many companies that have gone massive through doing that sort of thing, like Dropbox. They're the poster child of this level of growth, where you got some free storage if you forwarded it onto someone else, and they grew massively in a couple of years by doing that. So I would definitely do that. But I also like this idea of getting people to post things. So you mentioned in your question about like, I think it was pet anniversaries or pet of the month thing. I think doing that is really interesting, and getting people to post about that and perhaps tag you as the company or perhaps some sort of hashtag. But again, what's in it for them by putting that forward? What do you do? Does some lucky reader get a free month? Do they get a free year? What do they get? So what's the thing that will make people do it? Because you see a lot of that on socials. As soon as there's something in it for somebody, they could win something, then people will post all the time, because this was only going to take them a couple of 30 seconds to a minute to post, but it's just getting them to do that. So those are the two areas I think that you could work for you really well. So that's how I'd go about it.
Thank you, Jimmy. Yes, Martin.
Thank you. And yes, well, first I want to say that my expertise is more within a kind of a B2B growth rather than B2C. That's where we're kind of I spend most of my time in, and where we're helping. But so I probably will not have a big a B2C kind of marketing ideas for you that you can probably research and consider. But what I can share is my experience with a number of B2B clients who are in a selling more like a lower value proposition, and they heavily rely on like referrals and their existing customer network. So look, I would definitely create, well, first thing I would always create a marketing engine, an email marketing engine, or text message based, or a marketing engine to ask for the reviews. Because I know like everybody mentions that they're doing it, but I believe a lot of companies actually don't do it enough. So make sure that like with each purchase, whatever, when you got a new purchase, then you ask them for the review. And it can be as simple as even on your, if it's an online store or a physical store, when you print a receipt, then on the receipt you can put information, hey, give us a review, with a link, and and you can be rewarded for that. And then I think what you want to do after that is create that reward system for the reviews, that will kind of follow to kind of become, you mentioned it, man ambassadors. I think before somebody becomes an kind of ambassador, can be just a person that is more kind of an influencer and kind of just help you spread the word, and then the other people who like it even more, becoming kind of a brand ambassadors. But let's create that reward system and offer or future discounts, or sometimes it can be as small as like a monthly prize draw, for all the people that have participated in the current month. So yeah, I'm sorry I'm not going to have too much advice on this one, but yeah, that's the experience that coming from my world.
Thank you very much to both of you. The only thing I would add here is just going in line with what Jimmy and Martin said, but also what you yourself suggested. A good way, especially that pet of the month, that is a good way to go about it, because if you come up with a good price, what will happen is people will want to show off, but two, if the price is substantial enough, and if you do it in a way so that let's say they send you a picture or a video. Actually, I would go for things like a video and do it via, if you haven't already got one, get a TikTok account. And the way I would do it is get people to actually say vote for my pet to be the pet of the month. And that way, your social media presence will grow. That's number one. And number two, what will happen is also those people will have to follow you. So you have to do it in a certain way so that whoever votes will have to follow you or connect with you in order to be able to do that. So I really like that, and I would start with that. Another one, I think both the chaps here mentioned that, but offer discounts. People at the end of the day, they, as much as we don't do things for money, the ones that are already clients of yours, so you don't need to convince them that your product is good or not. Give them a discount. I don't know, just for argument's sake, every month that they suggest, I don't know, 10 people or 5 people or however, I don't know what the price of your subscription box is, but every time they suggest someone like that and somebody ends up buying, you tell them that both parties get a half price or some kind of discount. But again, the discount has to be substantial. That's quite important. So, or maybe you can even go further and say, look, if you suggest somebody, you will get a half price box for that person rather than for yourself. Or maybe the first box for them will be free. Something along those lines. And I think you might find it handy. But again, it would be nice to have you live here next time. But hopefully this has been useful. Now we've got 9 minutes to go. Christina in the chat has placed a question, but for some reason it shows her as being outside our so it just says external, and for some reason I am unable to give you the mic, Christina. But if Martin and yeah, no, that's going to be tricky because you can't introduce yourself. I'm sorry, Christina, you'd have to join us live maybe on Monday, especially since it's more of a talent question. But for some reason, I have no idea why I'm unable to give you the mic. So maybe we can go to one last question that was sent in then, fellas. Let me see. I don't know if I copied and pasted that here already in the chat. No. Okay, right. Let me see what other questions. We've received quite a few. Okay, this is an interesting one. Another one for subscription. So here we go. I'm going to post it in the chat now, and I'll read it out loud. Where are we? Okay. Probably a bit similar to the previous one. We're a D2C ethical fashion subscription box in Glasgow at seed stage. We're struggling to attract price-sensitive early adopters. Basically, our ethical fashion subscription box struggles to appeal to price-sensitive early adopters who hesitate to commit. How can we design campaigns that emphasize long-term savings, use cost per wear calculators, and highlight exclusive access to sustainably sourced clothing to overcome these objections and drive subscriptions? Jesus. Jimmy, what do you make of this? Because it's quite a bit thrown into it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think you're marketing to the wrong people is my initial reaction. Like if your main value proposition is sustainability and all these long-term sustainable benefits, then you shouldn't be marketing to people who are price sensitive, because that's not your buyer. You need to be marketing to the demographic of people that are willing to pay more for sustainable products, because then that doesn't become an issue for them. So I think the challenge you've got here is you are not going to be able to sell sustainability solutions to price sensitive people. You need to be targeting the right audience. So I think you need to rethink who your ideal customer profile looks like. So that's where I would be starting.
Totally makes sense. And if I may add just something before I go to Martin, the only other thing here is if you can find a way where you can still make a good profit and source price sensitive material. but that is easier said than done. And in my experience, although I have to say the caveat is that it's not like I have a ton of experience, but I've come across a couple, and actually one of them used to join us quite often. I've come across a couple of these similar businesses, and unfortunately, it's a nightmare to get price-sensitive supply chains. But if you do, then maybe you can offer that to these people. But at your stage, probably not complicated with too many things. And like Jim said, just focus on those that can actually afford to pay for this, or are willing to pay no matter what the price is, because it's the right thing to do. Any thoughts on this, Martin?
Thank you, Anton. And then very quickly, the question is how you can design the campaigns, and I agree with what Jimmy says, and I will say it again. It's probably going to be boring, but hey, what you need is product market fit exercise, because at the stage that you are, I wouldn't design any marketing campaigns before actually doing product market fit. I would actually go and talk to a number of potential clients to get their feedback on what is important for them, what is that they care about, what is that they're looking for to buy, as well as what sort of budgets they have. And then after that, the outcome of product market fit is very quickly we'll find out that there are target audiences that just don't resonate with what you're building, and then you need to drop them. And the quicker you drop them, the better for you, because you're not spending time in the wrong place. But out of all these conversations, you will also find the micro target audiences that will actually resonate with you, and they will give you a good feedback about what is that they want, and how you could work with them. And only after that, I would think about creating a campaigns. So that's what I would do. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that, fellas, to both of you. We've got 3 minutes left. So instead of taking any more questions, and before going to our parting words, you will each have 1 minute to tell us either about your business, or maybe Jimmy's case, you might want to go into a bit more detail on the book. Whichever you want, but tell us about yourself or your company or what you're working on that is important, you think, for startups that follow us to know about. Jimmy, take it away first. Your 1 minute of glory starts now.
Thank you very much, Anton. So yeah, I'd just love to share more. I'm writing a book at the moment on how to build your business. So it's based on my experience of building 2 businesses after leaving Microsoft, and how to kind of really home in on what your problem is, how you're going to get initial traction. If you've already got a job, it's really designed for people to utilize what they've got in their current job to help them start their business on the side. So it's got lots of tips in it. Even if you've already started your business, it's I think a lot of people find value in a lot of what the content I've already written and shared with them around some of the pitfalls and some of the things you need to think about as you're growing your business as well. So for anybody that would like to get updates from it, for when the book's launched, you can go to www.impactadvantage.co.uk/book. That's www.impactadvantage.co.uk/book, or just look me up on LinkedIn and drop me a message and I'll send you the link. So thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Much appreciated. Martin.
Thank you. And very quickly, because we're at the top of the hour, look, you can look at what we do at 𝗦𝗁𝗲.io, or find me on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/n/Marcin3. And then we can have a conversation there. But maybe quickly, I want to say, look, in a growth space, AI will actually change a lot of things. And what I see is a lot of people put a lot of hacks on, like how to use AI for certain different things. I would just say that, look, everybody, those hacks, some of them are good, but hacks never work long term. So I think everybody needs to have a bit longer strategy to actually, how to build a sustainable growth. And, we at 𝗦𝗧𝗪, we follow, the process that we call TAM. It means target, achieve, more. So, think of it, first you want to know who you target, how you target, and all of that. And then you want to achieve some success first. And it's only after that you can actually do more. And that's how you build, successful automations and build successful, automated platforms for your growth. That's exactly what we do. And for very early stage, we have ready programs on, how to do product market fit, how to do international expansions, and so on. So, yeah, the best is to have a conversation. And with growth, you've got the right, you need to have the right mindset, energy, and you need to be patient as well. But yeah, we're happy to help.
Thank you very much for your great input today, fellas, and your time. Really appreciate that. We are now 1 minute over the line, and I guess rather than parting words, I think we can close with those with those presentations that you gave us. As far as my sort of end of day thoughts, and also just a reminder actually before them, we run 6 regular sessions to help founders for free, and the idea is to help you go from startup to scale up with pretty much on-demand tailored advice delivered by brilliant people like Martin and Jimmy. So bear that in mind. Please feel free to join us. We do talent on Mondays, product and tech on Tuesdays, growth on Wednesdays, investment, so fundraising on Thursdays, law on the second Friday of each month, and finances on the third Friday of each month. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. You can RSVP to any of them via our site, startup-to-scaleup.club. And actually, if you go to our site, probably a good thing to do is to click on the WhatsApp icon there and join us on WhatsApp so you can get alerts for all the future sessions that we run. As far as my parting words are concerned, just remember the startup journey can be both exciting but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun and be kind to yourself and everyone else too, for that matter. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for our fundraising Q&A. And if you found value in this today, please feel free to share it via whichever platform you tuned in, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or wherever you're listening to us now. Please share it. The more, the merrier. Thank you again, and God bless you all. Bye-bye for now.